Hello, this is Ammon Tayak of Piscataway, Sophia Spiritualite, the American Miriam, and we're here with the CAT report for November the 9th, 2023, published at 5:10 p.m. Current time is November the 12th, 2023 at 10:40 a.m. Just a comment. This music that you hear in the background is actually called Go-Go. It's from the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, and it is the indigenous music of our people. Most of us were a part of the Iroquois Federation, so I just thought I'd throw that out there for people who had never heard it before. And it does really, really, really scare off a lot of the improper spirits who this information is not for. So this is why I use it in my background. So the shift. This is from Catsy. I think this may be the same crossing of timelines Cliff High and others talk about when previous increasing evil begins to decrease and good love, hope begin to increase. So let me just make a comment on this. I mean, I don't pre-read these, just so you know. I just like, oh, there's a new cat report out. Let me go ahead and record it. Listen, I'm the timeline queen. If you go to my channel, Astrotarography on YouTube, Astrotarography on YouTube, I have a whole timeline that's based on the zodiac and the tarot cards and some understanding of the energies based on those things. And I listen to a lot of channelers, and so this whole thing about the shift and the timelines and all of that, this is inevitable, and it wasn't by accident. There's people like me and others who have been doing a lot of energy work to get us onto the proper timeline. What do I mean by that? Now, a lot of people say that we're going into the age of Aquarius. And based on my own research, I don't think that that's true. I think that the age of Aquarius is the loop they want to put us in. Technically, on one timeline, which I call the mother's timeline, which is about a 108-year cycle, or age period era, we have been in the era of Leo, or the strength card, the golden age, since 1992. And I mean, I could go into detail on how that lines up with the rest of the timeline and how they doom looped us in, but I have a lot of information on my other channels, so I'm not going to go too in depth with that here. But basically, they've been projecting this age of Aquarius onto us so that we would go into the age of Aquarius, because the age of Aquarius is ruled by the Magician card, if you're familiar with tarot, along with the moon and the stars. So this would be powerful men using the moon and the stars to actually control us. However, in the Leo timeline, which is strength, that it's direct pair. You just have a female, which I say is the daughter, that is controlling the lion by her will. And the lion willfully does what she requests. And so that's a timeline I believe that we are on, that we're in, that we've been in, and that has been, they've been projecting this whole Aquarius thing onto us so that we would accept more harsh rulership. So basically, everyone who says that this shift is happening, it absolutely is, but it hasn't been without work. I and a group of sisters have been fasting and praying for this for like 2 years now. And so, there are people out here, different little groups, different people that are really working for this shift to happen. So if you see it happening, just know that there's been a lot of love and effort put into it for you to have the experience. Not just us, but other groups I've bumped into. I've seen they're doing similar things. So I'm just glad that we're moving forward. All right, magnetic pole shift extinctions. This is Harvard versus Ben. Of course, if you're not familiar with what is Ben's suspicious observers. He has a video out called The Scariest CME. What does Ben fear? And, they're talking about these CME things. Let's see what Thomas and Bessie. Okay, so sorry, but this can't happen at this time because I have at least 20 new books from Douglas written and waiting to be edited, formatted, and loaded up to Amazon print on demand for all cats around the world to have printed copies. So if when a CME comes, y'all have plenty of good reading material in actual physical form. And remember, no harm comes to me, and I would consider this a major setback as my goal is to get these and another 20 published, logged into the Library of Congress before If the Lights Go Out. I agree with Betsy, which I have like most of the time, almost all the time. There is going to be no event like this. That's the projection. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of this is about getting you to believe it. So if you believe that there's going to be a CME that takes everybody out and we go off the grid and all of that, you are bringing that in for yourself. However, I know it's not going to happen for me, just like I know the rainbow currency bank can collapse, whatever is also not going to happen to me. So if you wish these things to happen for yourself, more power to you. I hope you get what you wish for, but I don't want these things. I have a lot of work that needs to be done. And I want to be able to read all 40 of these books. And we have a lot of young people out there that we need to help. So this is not a good time for that. And I don't think it's going to happen because there's enough sentient beings floating around here who actually want to do the work to see things change and are not willing to just let things go on. Right? All right. We cats know, this is from Rick Ruffin, that specific spiritual beings inhabit the sun, and that our full understanding of this helps to direct the moral nature of those beings toward our planet. No fear. Exactly. We are co-creating with the moral beings that are outside of, well, maybe not outside of the dome, but in these different layers or levels of reality. And especially there's a certain classification of women who are working specifically with the archangel of Jupiter, that are trying to bring in the abundance and the blessings that we never received, that we were supposed to. So we don't have any fear, and we also reject those people who are trying to push fear onto us. So this is Mag for Truth. Gabriel's Horn. Thank you, Tyler, John, and Douglas. This series has been profoundly inspirational, moving, and entertaining. Thank you for sharing your amazing life, and I am looking forward to the books you have coming. You three reflect the light of Christ in the brightest way in these times. Thank you. Your choice. Go with angels or demons. This is the truth. Okay, this is on Douglas Gabriel YouTube channel. He's got this interview with John Barnwell. Not John Barnwell. Is it? They don't have his name here. Okay, anyway, I hope I got it right because I know I watched the videos and my brain is freezing because anyway, this is absolutely true. You have to decide whether you're going with the angels or the demons. And furthermore, even the demons are not going to be going with people who are moving on a negative trajectory. They're clamoring around the positively oriented beings so that they can clean up their karma and get out of this mess that these negatively oriented humans have put them in by having them do things that's against moral rules. See, everybody got to ascend. That includes the demons. That includes every entity got to. The ascension path is not limited to positively oriented sentient humans. There are negatively oriented beings that also have an ascension path. And these, magicians, these sorcerers have messed them all up by having them do the stuff that they're not supposed to do. See, because we're supposed to face trouble. Trouble is supposed to come towards us so that we have the opportunity to walk the path of Christ. However, the trouble is not supposed to take us out. And so when you have people, 9-8-8ing themselves, taking themselves out, people, little children who are being abused and all this stuff, they're not supposed to do these. This is against the entirety of what Christ preached, and this is just against any moral code that is on the planet. And so even the negatively oriented beings or the demons, even they have to clean up their act because they're going to get left behind. So they don't want to work with those people either. So everybody has to work together to bring things forward. So like the way I discuss it, especially with my timeline, it's like if you know that you have a negative um, time period that's supposed to come to you. So for example, every year I have a Three of Swords energy that comes at me. I can take that Three of Swords energy, learn the lesson that that negatively oriented being is supposed to bring me, learn and acknowledge the lesson, put the light on it, which you know, light casts out darkness, put the light on it, accept it, acknowledge it, boom, I'm done with that energy. What they do is they take that Three of Swords energy and they make you think, okay, the only way out of this energy is you got to take yourself out. You only got one way to do it. And that's it. It's like, no, that's not even the truth. It's not, the heartbreak is not supposed to break your heart so bad that you just leave. That's wrong. This is what they've been doing since the time of the martyrs. Unnecessarily putting this pain and suffering, this strife and this heartache on people so that they would rather take themselves out, annihilate themselves, than to be here and actually live out the purpose that they were supposed to. So they have a lot of atoning to make up for this. And so you can help them by acknowledging the negative feelings that come to you, not pretending they don't exist. Acknowledge them. And then as you acknowledge them, you are able to process them out. They have done their job and can go on to whatever else is supposed to do. You have done your part and the lesson has been learned and you've gained another level. That's the way that I look at it. But yes, angels or demons, and it is. All right. Above is the final video of the interviews with an Exorcist series. The guys explain inside the video and show you what's next in our newest outline, online learning enrollment, the Invisible College. Well, you didn't think we were going to stay in AIM School of Truth forever now, did you? We're moving on to higher levels of knowledge and wisdom that will guide students of higher knowledge on this epic spiritual journey. And this is entering the Invisible College. Of course, you can come to neoanthroposophy.com if you want more information about that. And the link to the AIM report will be in the bio. Okay, so the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. This is, man, these synchronicities are impossible. I have been telling people, I promise, the only way to win the battle is to surrender. You have to surrender. You're not surrendering to the enemy. No. You're surrendering to your spiritual team, those entities that gave everything for you to be here. Surrender to them. Let them fight the battle. It's not your battle to fight anyway. This is why you can navigate through any energy that's directed at you to you that's negatively polarized. You can quickly and easily navigate through that energy if you acknowledge that, hey, I can't solve this problem anyway. I'm gonna let my spiritual team handle that because it's not for me to solve. It's for them to solve, because if you have an entity coming at you, you're not a spiritual entity in your flesh form. You got to let the spiritual entities handle that and reveal what needs to be revealed in the gentlest way possible. And that's how you ask it. Okay, whatever lesson I'm supposed to learn, can you please let me learn it with the least amount of trauma, especially for quote unquote African Americans. We have to ask to learn the lessons without the trauma, because we didn't ask to learn the lessons without the trauma. Every lesson has been extremely traumatic. Once you start saying, let me learn these lessons without the trauma, oh, okay, then you can learn them. It don't have to be traumatic, but you have to ask for it. You have to recognize that the reasons you've been learning the lessons the hard way is because you have not been specific to say to your spiritual training, I can't handle any more trauma. So-called African Americans beg for trauma. Oh, please traumatize me. I need the trauma. That's the only way I can learn the lesson. It's ridiculous. No, you have to say, I'm not dealing with no more trauma. So teach me this lesson without the trauma. And lo and behold, you can learn the lesson without the trauma. So that is just my suggestion, my belief, my hope for you, that you would learn the lesson without the trauma. Okay. All right. America's task to develop cosmology. This is a huge problem, and this is something I absolutely picked up from Thomas and Betsy. People don't have a cosmology. And I have been, working, on my own little developing my crew, trying to tell them y'all have to have a cosmology. And every time I bring that up, they're like, "Well, we don't have a cosmology. I don't need a cosmology." Yes, you do. It's the other problem people have, if in case Thomas and Betsy hear this, is that they don't have rules. I had someone tell me that them trying to work on whatever was going on with them spiritually was more important than them having a set of rules by which they operate. So cosmology and rules are similar, because there's universal laws, there's Moses laws, there's the Hammurabi Code, there's the Magna Carta, there's the United States Constitution. There's all kinds of rules. These people don't have no rules. So like, if you come across somebody and you can't figure out why they're doing what they're doing, ask them, "Oh, what rules do you follow?" And if they say, "Oh, I don't have any rules," then you can say, "Oh, this is probably not a person you can be reasonable with. This is not a reasonable person." And I find a lot of the Q followers, no offense, they have no rules. They just don't have any rules. They don't believe in rules. That's why they think somebody can come in with a rainbow currency and make a person who is going through the process of becoming a secure creditor some kind of offer, and I'm supposed to be glad with whatever they give me, because they don't understand that there's rules. I have promises, I have covenants, I have contracts, all kinds of stuff with the Most High. And so these people thinking they're going to come in, pretend to be the Most High, disregard my covenant, my contract, because it's for the good of humankind, is absolutely not true, because it's not for the good of me. I'm a human and I have a covenant and a contract, things that have to be, and rules, things that have to be followed. You can't just jump in and tell me something like that. That's crazy. So cosmology is a huge problem amongst people. They don't know what it is. They don't have one, and they don't want to develop one either, even when you tell them about it. The second biggest problem is having rules. These people have no rules, no code of conduct, no way in which they govern their own personal inner life. All right, and of course there's an audio here that you can watch on, that's going to be available on YouTube. And of course the cats are taking over. Look at this. Okay, all right. Ron Spence writes, when can we take anything in the media that the media publishes at face value? I've reached a point scrolling that I'm avoiding almost all quote unquote news stories, and the only things I click on are cat videos, furry ones, and CAT shared. Doing so frees up a lot of time and averts suffering the side effects of fear porn on one's spiritual connections. We are collectively being bombarded by thousands of talking heads trying to gain our attention for clicks, likes, and advertising revenues. Listen, this is the problem. Exactly. They use these talking heads to project their reality onto you so that you will accept it, especially if you're a sentient human. And if you're an NPC, we love our NPCs too. They're trying to project this crap onto you so you will just spew it out. But the sentient humans are the ones that carry a higher vibration of resonance, so they really want us to believe it, but we're not buying it. It's simply not working. And so this you have to work really hard to ignore it, or if you can tolerate it, you watch it to reject it. Like, are these people crazy? I'm not doing that. That's not true. This and that. I do a lot of that, as much as I can handle, just because having the energy of a sentient human on these news, on with these talking heads, with these people, is valuable. So here we go. This is from Kaz. My message to the community: sometimes a few cats just doing their thing can make a lot of dominoes fall. And that's true. Absolute facts. All right. Queen Rania. The Professional Victims Unit claims of trying to protect citizens an insult to one's intelligence. So this is from Queen Rania. I'm not sure who that is exactly. I'm not going to get into that. So, OMG, 98-year-old Dr. Mathier speaks truth to Western Professional Victims Unit colonial power like no other world leader. 8-minute video will leave you speechless. And the video is linked here. On somebody's Substack, okay? All right. Revelations 18 and 23. All nations were deceived by your pharmakia. Greek pharmakia is the origin of the English words pharma, pharmaceutical, pharmacy, and pharmacist. And this is, of course, the Pirbright Institute. If you've never heard of them, here we've got the patent. I'm not going to read it out, but yeah, yeah. And also, we're past Revelation 18. We're actually at 21 right now. The plan is to 988 the children. Actually, they're not going to actually take them out with like MS or we call it popcorn with the gun that goes poo poo poo. They're not going to actually 988 the children, take the children out. They want the children to 988 themselves. That's what you really have to watch for, because if a sentient being takes themselves out, it's far more power that goes back into the system because they get to control their reincarnation cycle. So it's more so like we gotta watch the make sure that the children are not overly affected by this stuff, so they don't take themselves out. All right, so we have a meme here that I am not even going to read, but everyone is being destroyed. Everyone is being this destruction is unacceptable, and as sentient human beings, we have to just reject it and um and support life. Say life. We want life. We want life. Okay. All right. Here we go. Disclosed TV has a post. There's no possibility for ceasefire in Gaza. That's Biden saying that. Of course not. This illegitimate government tried to murder us for the last 2 years. Do you think they would peacefully let us take back control, knowing the consequences for their high crimes and treason? See, this is why, again, you don't have to do nothing. You say to your spiritual team, I have done all that I can in fighting this enemy, whoever it is. Now I need y'all to come in and take care of business. And it doesn't mean that you stop doing something to work towards it, but at the same time, know that you have the backing of your spiritual team. I've got several confirmations now that the work that you put in now will be received. It's not going to be it's not going to be in vain because of of where we are in this quote unquote matrix system. Okay. Israel, or the Professional Victims Unit, and the United States plan to turn Gaza into Ben Gurion Canal. What? The Ben Gurion Canal Project, or Israeli Canal, is a proposed canal project through the state of Israel. It will connect the Gulf of Aqaba to the Mediterranean Sea. The canal would rival the Suez Canal that runs through Egypt. This is ridiculous. They they want to build a canal. So this gives me a perfect time to discuss this. If you don't know, there are a lot of man-made lakes. Now, I said in the last video how hurt I was that I don't have access to the records who prove that I am, right? I don't have access to those records. They got them locked up. They got them whatever. Another thing that they did to remove access of those records is they flooded out towns. I don't know if people have heard this. This is well known in the quote unquote African American community, that they flooded a lot of quote unquote African American towns and just put the whole thing under the water. Not only towns, a lot of our temples, a lot of our grave sites, churches, anything that held the records that would allow a person like me to prove on paper who I am. Instead, I just have to tell you who I am and let the history records catch up to me, which is fine too. I can accept that. So if they are planning on putting a canal there, the reason they would be doing that is because they got something to hide. They do that when, okay, here's a perfect example of this. When the X crosses over America and they have that the eclipse, right? The place that the X actually crosses is over a lake in Illinois called Cedar Lake. Now, if you know anything about the naming of lakes, if the name of a lake is something lake, it is actually a artificial lake. If it's lake something, then it's probably a actual real lake. So Cedar Lake is this lake in Illinois, and that's where the X crosses. So since I know that it's an artificial lake, it is my guess, my supposition, that they buried a huge pyramid underneath the waters of that lake, or some temple or something underneath the waters of that lake, so they couldn't be found. And if you look into that area, it is actually before the United States really formed up and had expanded all the way out west, Illinois paid the most state taxes of any of the surrounding states because of its salt production. They had these big salt things. And so the quote unquote African American slaves they brought in, which is, I'm not even going to get into that because it makes me very upset, were the ones that were somehow brought from another country, right? But they knew how to process salt from a lake bed or from an area where only the indigenous people would have known how to do that. So you got people coming from someplace else that somehow would have known how to process the salt. I just want y'all to think about how insane that sounds. So, but it was the largest, they had the largest salt mine basically in the world. And then that salt production went from Illinois into West Virginia, where they had more quote unquote cave access, which is a whole nother thing. So what I'm saying is the next closest lake that's a real lake from Cedar Lake is actually Lake of Egypt. Now, you have the Lake of Egypt, and then you have a Cairo. This is all in Illinois. I mean, imagine my surprise. I looked this up and find this out. So if they're trying to bury something with water in that quote unquote Gaza Strip, that means that they're trying to hide something. And this is basically the pattern, especially over North America. When they're trying to hide something, they will bury it underwater, and then they think that it can never be found, which is some of the most ridiculous thought process I've ever seen. So I've gone on and on about this too much. All right, Article 4, Section 4 of our Constitution requires our government to protect and defend our borders. If government does not, the Constitution, by virtue of the named part herein, authorizes the free citizens to defend themselves and their state in place of treasonous government. Note, in not defending our borders, government gives aid and comfort to a hostile foreign invasion, and this under Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution is properly labeled as treason. Let me add something onto that. What they're doing, and I may have mentioned this already, but I'll just mention it a little bit more. What they're doing from a spiritual perspective is they are bringing, I call them race warriors, up from these hostile powers below the Mexican border, much like they did when they fought against the quote-unquote Indians. They brought these people up from these hostile powers, and they brought them up to fight my people, the Aboriginal people, quote-unquote African Americans. They brought them up to fight us. And so what they're doing again, as the quote-unquote African Americans have become very spiritual, very awakened, very enlightened, and actually engaging in quote-unquote spiritual battle, they're now bringing these people up to physically fight us like they did the last time. Except the last time they won. Or actually they didn't win. That's a whole nother thing. It's just that our people are not fighters. Quote unquote African Americans are not really fighters. We usually do like I just suggested. Sit back, let our spirit team fight the battle. We just show up and actually do the physical work. But really the heavy lifting is done by our spiritual team. But this goes into a longer story. A lot of our spiritual team had been actually handcuffed by some different contracts that the quote-unquote Catholic Church, which is a whole nother thing, put out against all of the spirits, mainly through the dumb diverses and this whole doctrine of being able to conquer any individual who wasn't a quote-unquote Catholic. So this includes Orthodox, which I practice orthodoxy. This includes any Islamic, any cultural religions. They gave them permission to conquer everyone, and our spirit team was hindered as a result of that. And now they're unbound, unhindered, unencumbered, and they think they're going to fight us the same way that they fought them the same time. And you can just, now that I've mentioned it, you could just kind of see where are they going. They might be going into some suburbs, right? But really, they're not going into the suburbs. They're going into the urban areas. And it's not because they need votes. It's because they think they're going to put these people up against us and they're going to beat us like they did the last time. If you look into the history of any of these quote unquote Native American wars, you will know and see that what I'm saying is the truth. So they are doing the same thing again. But this is how they got the power the last time. And I'm going to make another video, which I will share on this channel, talking about Joe Biden and how he thinks he has the power to speak for the Negroes as a result of a contract that was made with him by a quote-unquote Native American chief. We'll get back into that another day. So we have Gab Zeppelin. Some patriots are going to have to start watering the tree of liberty if we're going to take the country back from traitors, satanic law enforcement. It said the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. And that is true. There are a lot of people, quote unquote Americans, who are going to have to do that. And it's going to be the quote unquote African Americans or the Aboriginal Americans who are going to have to, who are going to provide the spiritual support for that, who are going to pray, who are going to fast, who are going to invoke, so that the other quote unquote Americans are able to go out and fight this battle. But we cannot physically, my people cannot physically be involved in the fighting this around for a lot of reasons. But so it's true. This is how we work hand in hand on this, right? So we've got a video here from Full Metal Truth, something from off of TikTok. Of course, you can click that in the link. Here we go. We got Gen Z headed towards a military draft. Listen, I do believe they're going to try a military draft, but from what I see of Gen Z, they're not going to participate. Even if they do draft them, you think these people are going to carry a gun? They're going to be like, I can't carry a gun. Look how many drugs I'm on. These people are on so many psychotropic drugs. Even if they were somehow like drafting these people and like they were somehow going to end up in battle, do you think these people are taking guns? They don't like guns. They've made them scared of guns. Number one, they're overweight. They're out of shape. They're, hokey pokeyed up to death. How are they going to qualify? They can't meet any qualifications. Now, I was not alive, during previous draft, so I don't know how that works, but it seemed like you had to actually find people who could meet the qualifications, like basic qualifications, basic mental capacities that these Gen Z do not have. They don't have it. Even, they think they're going to get the ones from the country. The ones from the country are going to go in there and they're not going to follow instructions. If you thought millennials were uncontrollable, the Gen Z is by far the most uncontrollable group of people you have ever met. And this is a person who interacts with Gen Zs every day. Uncontrollable. They're not going to be able to do any of this stuff. You're going to tell them they have to cut their hair. They're going to run away. These people are going to just run away. A lot of them have said that they're willing to go to jail. They're going to put them in jail. If you escape the draft, they're going to put you in jail. They're going to go to jail. They don't care about that. They'll be like, oh, I get free food, free clothes, free this, free that. Oh, great. And so many of them are bi, poly, whatever. They're going to be cool with that. They're going to be like, oh, and I got all these different boyfriends I can have, girlfriends or whatever. And they're going to be excited. So I don't think people understand the Gen Z is not even going down with, they're not going for it. Okay. So, this says, strange thing about Charles. Could he be the Maddie? There's also people online talking about Charles being a bunch of different people. So I definitely suggest you go and check this out. Aquarius Skylock, a cool cat in the UK, posts the image below with this note. Yesterday and today, front papers were the Duchess of Edinburgh and the Princess of Wales dressed in cameo. Cameo Kate tries her hand as a drone pilot. Look at this. And what is this like pin that they have on their chest? It looks kind of like a is it supposed to be a poppy? Is it, what is that? I've seen that on several people. Now, okay, the Antichrist House of Windsor. Prince Charles finally became king and is now on the Antichrist radar. I think he or his son William is a perfect candidate. We all know that the beast in the end times has to tie together all the loose strands of this mystery. The article is an attempt to tie together some of those loose ends. Click on pictures within the article for documentation. Prince Charles has finally become the king and is now on the Antichrist radar. I think he or his son William is the perfect candidate. We all know that the beast... Okay, this is the same thing. Did you know that Prince William stated that peace in the Middle East was his life's mission? Okay, the only problem with this whole Antichrist thing is that we're already past that. Like that's already done. The Antichrist, the mark of the beast is the dollar bill. The Antichrist is, we're already past that. Again, this is an attempt to project this onto us again so that we doom loop through it again. If we've already been through the end times many, many, many times, why are we willingly going to accept to go through it again? I encourage people to look into it and really reject it. Like, no, we already been through this. We've already been through the Antichrist. You mean to tell me I got to go through this thing again? No. I mean, some people don't have the blood memory of the cross or the flood or whatever, like the Aboriginals do, like I do. I see my nieces and my kids, they have the memory of the flood within them. And so, like, some people don't, and I understand that, not bad people, just some people don't have access to that. But I'm telling you, we've already done this. So why are we going to do it again? Why would you willingly say, okay, yeah, put me through the end time script one more time? Because the last time it wasn't real because I don't remember it. No, you can say, no, we've already done this. And look back through history, you will see that we've already had the Antichrist many times. We've already had the end times many times. This is the first time where the beast was slain and thrown into the pit of fire. There's some videos. There was a pit, a lot of different pits. There was a pit of fire in Canada. That is where we believe that the Leviathan was actually thrown into the pit there. And so we've already done this end times script a bunch of times. We already took out the beast. They're trying to reconstitute the beast. The beast is gone. The Leviathan is gone. Your enemies are gone. The only way they're coming back is if you choose to believe that they're coming back. And so I encourage people to reject that because it's simply not true. Okay? The monarchy is the head of the British Pilgrim Society, the modern name for the British Imperial Empire and its vile pirates. And of course, here you go, a former British soldier exposed to King Charles. Body area network standardization, analysis, and application. It must be Christmas because I could not have received better presents. This undergrad thesis is informative, but the other articles linked to the site are marvelous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And this is from Rick Ruffin. I don't know exactly what this is, so we'll have to take a look at that, of course. Sasha Latipova. Con artistry. Oh, another faker. Okay. All right. This is another Rick Ruffin post. I had to drive into town near Independence Hall in Philadelphia this morning and was shocked to find Comcast or Xfinity putting up these light boxes through the area. I am looking forward to retiring. And they've got these light boxes all over the place. I'm sure this has something to do with the other stuff that's going on. So forget 3D chess, cats are playing 5D dominoes. This is just a video from earlier. So I hope that this cat report has been informative. I hope I didn't ramble on too much with my little 2 cents, but I do want to. I know that a lot of people don't know about this have not heard from a person of Aboriginal descent about the stuff that's going on within our community, and I feel like it's the spiritual explanation for why things are manifesting the way they are on the physical. And when you can get the physical and the spiritual together, you can really solve some problems. So I'll elaborate on these things as necessary so that everybody gets the information. So shalom to each one of you all. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you for the next cat report.